Hi, I'm Bob Riley, and I'm filling in today for Councilman Eugene Girard and the Brookhaven Experience. With me today, we have two important members of our fire districts. We have Joe Jahelka and Gordon Handshaw. Welcome, fellas. And you guys are from the Suffolk County Fire Safety Educators Association. Joe, why don't you kind of explain to our crowd of what you're all about?
Okay, the Suffolk County Fire Safety Educators Association is a county association made up of members from fire departments throughout the county. We've been in business for about 25 years, and in the last 15 years we incorporated and formalized the association, and we spread the fire safety, fire prevention message throughout the county.
Well, since you guys have been an organization, do you have any projects that you're working on or any things that you're trying to get out?
Oh yeah, we have one key project that we've been pushing for about the last 6 years, and it's called Operation EDITH.
Okay, I've heard about EDITH. Why don't you explain to us what EDITH is all about and what we can do to help and what's being done?
Yeah. Okay. EDITH is stands for the acronym stands for Exit Drills in the Home. The first letter from each of those words, Exit Drills in the Home, and we practice fire drills in school as children, and this concept is brought into the home, and it shows you how to escape from a home in case there is a fire.
Sounds like a great idea.
This year, Operation EDITH, we have it set as a countywide drill on October 8th, that's Wednesday of Fire Prevention Week, at 7 p.m. And the Suffolk County Fire Educators with the Suffolk County Chiefs and the Brookhaven Chiefs are asking that all local residents participate in Operation EDITH at 7 p.m. that evening and practice their exit drill in the home.
What would that entail? What would the resident have to do? What would the fire department have to do? And how do people get involved? How do they find out?
The main thing is when there is a fire in the home, you want to be able to get out. The first is even getting an early warning to the fire, and it's important that every home have at least one working smoke detector, and I emphasize the word working. A lot of homes have smoke detectors that were installed some number of years ago, and they've kind of become ornaments on the ceiling. They sit there, and people think that they're protected because they have a smoke detector. They've never heard it go off, and honestly, they don't even know if it works. So the first thing is to make sure that you have a working smoke detector. Then beyond that is to have an escape plan, that should you have a fire and should you be alerted by the smoke detector, you have at least 2 ways to get out of every room in your house.
So this goes beyond more than just drop and roll type of thing or just staying low. It has exit routes that you have to have prepared, and you have to have a plan for this. This is just a spur of the moment. We want to make sure that the residents are equipped to handle their own exits.
Right. Well, what we're finding is that in homes where we have an operating smoke detector, we're having problems where specifically the children and the senior citizens don't have an exit plan to get out. And the recent fatalities we've had, some have been directly related to not having an escape route planned out in advance, because when the fire occurs, you never can plan for it, and it always occurs at the worst time. Either half asleep, you're getting up in the middle of the night, or perhaps during the daytime when your mind might be elsewhere, whether it be at school or work or whatever.
That was my next question. Was have you seen success with this? Your efforts have started 6 years ago. You said you started this program.
Right.
What kind of success have we seen so far?
It's difficult to measure success. There are occasionally stories that we hear in the news media where the family experienced a fire and they escaped successfully, and usually it is a student who reports that they learned something in school. And the school education typically comes from the local fire departments going into the schools, at least during Fire Prevention Week, sometimes at other times during the year, and teaching children what to do in the event of a fire. You mentioned stop, drop, and roll. That's typically taught to children of what to do in case their clothing becomes on fire. And that works for even adults. You know, they should know what
Sure,
to do.
if my clothes go on fire, that's what I'm going to do.
If clothes go on fire, the first instance is panic and run. And when Gordon mentioned about the fire happening in a home, if you don't have a plan, typically there is panic. And the panic takes over, and people become disoriented and almost can't even find their way out of their own home, something that is very familiar to them.
Again, in my district, we focus on the younger kids in the preschool area, grades 1, 2, and 3. Again, we're utilizing them to take the message home, and also we focus on the senior citizens. But again, the message, again, is if you have a working smoke detector and you receive the alert, the early warning, if you will, and you have an exit plan in mind, and you've practiced it, or at least you've penciled it out, it'll save your life. And
you mentioned the seniors, and you mentioned the children going into schools. How else do you get the message out? How, you know, where do you want to go? How do you want to go? And what message actually is it that you want to get out?
Well, one of the reasons we're sitting here today is to try to get the message home to everybody in Brookhaven Town and Suffolk County to have an exit drill and also have an exit plan. That's what the drill is all about, and have a working smoke detector. And the whole idea is just those two factors alone could contribute to the fact that if a fire were to occur in your home, it could save your life. Because one enemy that we in the fire service have is time. And you as a civilian in your home do not have enough time to get out. Time is of essence. And I think, Joe, statistically, I'm sure the statistics bear us out on that. It's just fire moves very fast, and everybody lives under the illusion it can't happen to me in my home. But when it does happen, if you don't have your exit plan thought out in advance, and you don't have that early warning that the smoke detector will provide you, the time is going to be against you.
And even more than thought out, the plan should actually be practiced.
That's right.
That many homes, you say, well, I can get out. I can go out through my bedroom window. And the window may be painted shut. It hasn't been opened in 10 or 15 years. Or there's storm windows that are fastened from the outside that are difficult to remove or almost impossible to remove.
Why don't you do that for our viewers? Why don't you go over some of the things that might hinder their exiting that people won't even think about, you know, such as the windows being painted shut or storm windows?
Well, I ride around in a car and I look at houses, and even the window design itself, steel casement windows that swing out. They have a metal bar in the center, and the opening is not very big. And unless you're a very small person, a child, you can fit out through the window. Large adult may not be able to fit out through that type of window. Some narrow, low-height windows. I think we're setting up this program. We spoke about even basement apartments, that there are many, I don't know if you want to say illegal,
right.
Not quite legal, basement apartments that exist in various areas of Long Island, and the windows in a basement apartment do not allow easy exit. So they're really very hindrance to life safety.
Well, we come across that with people who complain that the town, their ordinance might be a little too strict in reference to that. Why can't I have a basement apartment? And they don't pay any attention to the safety aspect of it. They don't realize that if something does, God forbid there is a fire, that the residents down in the basement cannot get out. If the door is blocked, they will not get out of those small windows. And it's a very important issue, and I'd like to hear it being promoted and spoken about in a positive aspect.
As Gordon said, a lot of people think it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen in my house. But yet it does.
But you have to plan ahead. Again, making sure if you're doing a basement apartment or whatever facility you're in, one-family house, that there's proper exits. I mean, that's part of the town code. But with the proper exits, also do you have a smoke detector up on the ceiling that's working, that you can depend on to give you that early warning. And then also, what is your exit plan? I mean, everybody, I'll just go out my bedroom door, I'll go down the hallway and out the front door. But what if the fire is between you and the front door? So therefore, what's your secondary plan? And this, you know, as an adult, perhaps we could think on our feet and think that out, but what about the small children? What about the senior that's less mobile and not able to move as fast as a younger person? That all has to be thought out and all part of the family. I mean, we teach it in the schools. We try to teach it to the senior citizens when we visit with them. The whole idea is take the message home, work it out as a family. It's a team effort at home, practicing your exit drill and actually, thinking it all out and making sure you have an adequate way to get out of the house.
When is Operation EDITH go into effect, or what, not into effect, but as when are we going to do it, how are we going to do it, and the time? Give us the time of when it's going to happen.
Okay, well,
Okay, Gordon said it earlier,
Right.
but we'll just repeat it again
Please,
for
that's what
those
we wanna
people who
keep-
are just tuned in, that
Or those who might have forgotten.
October 8th, it is the Wednesday of Fire Prevention Week. Fire Prevention Week is the week in October that contains October 9th
right.
every year.
October
And,
9th, I'll steal your thunder, Joe. October 9th is the date of the Chicago fire. So that's all you have to remember. That week is always Fire Prevention Week, and you look for us in Operation EDITH on October 8th.
Well, it's always the Wednesday. This year happens to be
This
the
year.
8th. And at 7 p.m., we've asked all fire departments in the county. In fact, this year it's being declared as a statewide event. And in fact, we're asking all fire departments in the state to sound their siren at 7 p.m. to initiate the start of this drill, or a reminder for people to do EDITH and think about and plan and practice exit drills in their home.
And for residents to get more information, they can contact their local fire departments, and they will be glad to help them out and assist them in whatever they need to know about it.
Right.
Is that correct? We don't want to scare anybody and make it sound like there's a big alarm going on. And hopefully we won't do that.
Yeah, you asked earlier, how do we want to get this message out? Well, we're doing it with this TV program.
Okay.
We're hoping to have radio announcements out there on various local radio stations, articles in newspapers. Gordon, show
We
what
have
you-
Suffolk County Water Authority has assisted us. They've put a little blurb in their behind the faucet pamphlet to folks from Loco. If you look at your bill this month and next month, you'll see a little blurb in there about Operation EDITH. Again, we're looking for help from everybody in the community, business and residents, to get the message out and get everybody to have an exit drill, to practice their exit drills continually, and have a plan to get out safely. And also, we should also hit on the, when we talk about check your smoke detector, obviously, Joe and I are a little conservative. We check it every week, I guess, right? Tell my wife that, right? But in essence, at the end of the month, in October, when you change your clock, the national campaign is, with the ever-ready rabbit, if you will, and ever-ready batteries, is change your clock, check your batteries, but we take that one step further. When you change your clock, check your smoke detector and make sure it's working. Right, Joe?
That's right.
You're saying change the battery, not just check it.
Right.
Change the battery, but now smoke detectors in new homes are powered by the house power, and although they don't have batteries in them, they should be checked also, and run a vacuum cleaner around, clean out the dust and whatever cobwebs and things that can get around the vents in the smoke detector. Make sure that the air can get in there, smoke particles can get in and be sensed, and activate the alarm when needed.
Generally, what we tell the children, we do a program in Miller Place in the schools, and we tell the little kids, grades K through 2, 3, we show them a smoke detector, we show them how it works, and ask them to get mom and dad to check it. When we change your clock, check your clock, change your clock, check your battery, check your smoke detector. But we show them the smoke detector, and I remember there was one of the fire inspectors from Brookhaven town, when I first got involved in fire prevention, he held up the smoke detector, and he said, does anybody here not have one of these? And a little child would raise his or her hand, and the inspector would say, go home and ask mom and dad, am I worth $10 to you? Because it's really what the smoke detector costs, and that'll buy you time if there's a fire in your home. That's why you got to have one, and you have to make sure it works, which is change your clock, check your batteries, make sure your smoke detector's working.
Now, we're talking about smoke detectors. The carbon monoxide detectors that are coming out now, what can you explain about that? Can you tell us how important they are to have in the household and what they're all about? Explain to our viewers somewhat, Joe.
Okay, I'm
Go ahead,
been
Joe,
taking
you-
on the idea and spreading the message that
spokesman.
carbon monoxide detectors do work. There is a lot of information out there, and I would almost label it as disinformation, where people complain that they're too sensitive, that they go off unnecessarily. And while that is a fact, but they are sensing carbon monoxide. And when the alarm goes off, it's going off because there is carbon monoxide
sensing,
present.
right.
And you can't smell it, you can't taste it. There is no way of detecting it other than with instrumentation, and yet carbon monoxide kills.
Yes, it is a kill. We've seen that out east with the tennis player.
Tennis player.
Venus
Sure.
sterilitis, yeah. Hit it right home here on Long Island, and carbon monoxide detectors are very important in structures. We have alarms. I was surprised to hear many alarms over the summer. And when houses are shut up tight with air conditioning units and so on, there can be a buildup of carbon monoxide in the home. And if it gets too high, and especially while you're sleeping, you'll sleep permanently.
What will cause a carbon monoxide buildup in the house? A
Well,
leak of some sort?
The question comes up like, why do we have to have carbon monoxide detectors today and 20 years ago we didn't? Obviously, with the energy crisis, et cetera, everybody made their house more energy efficient. And what that's done is that's
Airtight.
airtight, that keeps whatever's in your house inside and doesn't let it out like be in years ago. So you've made your house airtight. The carbon monoxide is not going to escape as readily. Build up your heating plant might malfunction. You might have a blockage in your chimney. Who knows? It could be, there's any number of causes that could cause that buildup in your house. And again, it's odorless, tasteless, and
we
you know,
can
puts you to sleep
Well,
permanently.
we can prevent these leaks by having our furnaces, our chimneys checked on an annual basis.
Annual
That's
basis,
correct,
right.
yes.
And just keeping up with the maintenance. And what else can we do?
Not much more. Make sure that your equipment works, works properly. It's checked periodically. You ask where does it come from? What are the sources in the home? Anything that burns fuel could be a fireplace,
From anything from a stove to the fireplace, to
gas
the
stove,
oil burners.
oil burners, gas grills. Some people may be even using a gas grill too close to the house and the
Fumes
products of combustion from the gas grill.
attached garage, whatever. But I think one point we should really make is when, whether it be a CO detector or your smoke detector goes off, don't stop and, either one, don't stop and call the fire department
From inside the home.
from inside the home. Exit the home, and then call from the neighbors or something like, don't,
Cell phone, whatever. Don't
Yeah.
call from the house where the alarm is going off in.
Just get the heck out and get safe and make sure everybody's safe.
alert your family members, get
Practice
out.
your drill.
Right,
Do your
exactly.
drill. It's not a practice. It's not a warning.
With a carbon monoxide detector, there is no fire, so your normal exit route is the best one to take. Get outside. Some of the instructions that come with the carbon monoxide detectors say open windows and ventilate. That is a harm for the fire service, for the investigators coming to investigate. Don't open any windows, don't leave the door open, close the house up so that people, when they respond, can hopefully find the source of the carbon monoxide.
And how would they do that? They'd come in with detective equipment and, well, detection, I should say.
Yeah, the fire service will carry meters
Okay. And
on board
they come into
our
the home.
vehicles, and we'll detect what type of gas it is, and then we'll then search for the cause, where that gas is originating
But
from.
we do have to stress that it's not a false alarm. You won't be able to smell it. You won't be able to taste it. It's something that's in the air, and it's deadly.
That's correct.
And to the normal person or the untrained person, without the equipment to detect it, we won't know where it's from or how much is in the air until, unfortunately, it's too late.
Yeah,
the-
and again, get out. That's the bottom line, because it'll overcome you. You think, well, it won't happen. I can at least get through to the next room. It's not going to happen.
There are some medical symptoms that can be detected. It's not something that's going to kill you instantaneously. That if you go in a room that has a large concentration of carbon monoxide, you will become lightheaded, dizzy feeling. You will have flu-like symptoms. Long-term exposure will give flu-like symptoms. And people often think, well, I just have some bug, I'm going to shake it off, and I'm going to be okay. They lay down and take a nap and don't wake up. So if you're experiencing flu-like symptoms, certainly get out. If you have a detector and it's alarming, and the flu-like symptoms, you've had it. There are the definite signs that there is a problem.
Now,
leave the structure.
It's important, like you had said before, that we've come a long way in advancing with the detectors for carbon monoxide. At first, they weren't so accurate, and people were thinking they were getting false alarms. Can you stress more how important it is now to trust and to rely on these detectors? Because it's just now, it's not a false alarm. They've got sophisticated where we can trust them now. Is that what we're all?
That's correct. You should.
And
trust
again, keep in mind, when in doubt, there is no doubt. Just call the fire rescue. We'll be there. We'll do the proper thing, and we'll get you back into your home.
Get out.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
Make sure your family's safe and you're all safe.
And we're not talking inconveniencing. In the fire service, you're not inconveniencing us. I mean, the bigger inconvenience, if you will, or the bigger tragedy would be if we come there and we find that we can't help you because you're a fatality. And we can't afford that. I mean, we lose enough people to fire and to CO type emergencies as it is, and our job is to try to cut that down. It's a lot less expensive to prevent these things from happening than to have us put out the fire.
We had talked earlier about success and what kind of rate. I remember meeting with you fellows once before, and we talked about the fatality rate has gone down a considerable amount this year because of education, would you say? Or am I wrong in saying that it's gone down?
Well, the overall statistics over the last number of years, and I want to say on the order of 20 years that I've been researching, the number of deaths from fires has gone down in total amount. However, here in Suffolk County, looking at the last 10 years, that the number of deaths per year, it's kind of a little bit up and down. It's rather flat. We have 11 deaths in the county so far this year. And over the last 10 years, it's 150 total. So that number is right in the ballpark.
But that's still 11 too many.
Yes, that's what we want to see. We want to see zero. Most of the fatalities that happened this year, coincidentally, were caused by smoking.
Is that right?
Elderly, and in fact, the statistics, elderly women, senior citizens, female senior citizens, smoking, either in bed or in a living room chair, and fire caused by that. In one case, or in several of the cases, there was no working smoke detector or no smoke detector at all, and the people perished in the fire.
In all cases, we're finding statistically that, specifically in Suffolk County, that's where we're most familiar with the statistics, but they're occurring in homes where there's not a working smoke detector, and most recently, I think it was Nassau County, Joe, if I remember right, where there was several children, toddler type age, 3 to say maybe 7 or 8, they didn't know their exit route. So they had no exit plan. The adults got out because the smoke detector worked. The adults got out, but the children did not because they didn't know how to get out. They didn't have a second exit plan.
So that's a clear-cut case of showing that Operation EDITH is very, very important. It's not just something that should be taken lightly or something that's just, oh, this is just another waste of my time. You just gave us statistics and you showed an example on how it works.
And it all comes back, Bob, to practice. I mean, we in the fire service, when we practice putting out fires at the training center, et cetera, it's by rote. We do it over and over again, so you can do it in your sleep. And really, you as a civilian, as a resident of the town or the county, when it happens in your house, it has to be done by rote. You have to be able to almost do it in your sleep.
Sure, it's with anything. I'm a golfer, and the more I practice, the muscle memory, and you can get down and you can swing and you know how to do it. And like you said, you can do it almost in your sleep, and the more you do practice it, the easier it is to do. And especially if there's an emergency where people tend to lose their cool, they'll remember that. And I think you can't stress it more to me on how important it is. And we just hope that people do listen to it. So why don't we just go over a little bit about Edith once more, the day, the time, and the procedure somewhat too.
Right.
I know people have heard it.
October 8th, Wednesday this year at 7 o'clock. We're asking all the residents of the town and the county to participate with your local fire department in an exit drill or practice your exit plan. And Joe, you can tell exactly about that.
The plan should start with a signal from a working smoke detector. Push the test button, make the sound. Everyone in the home recognizes that sound, and then practice how to get out. 2 ways should be practiced. One, to go out the normal route that you take to go in and out of the house, the front door, the back door, whatever it is you use. And you should also practice a second way out. Second way out is typically out through a window in the room that you're in. The rooms we recommend are the bedrooms, because when the fire happens at night, and most fires, undetected fires, do happen at night, and while you're sleeping, and you should have a way out, a second way out, in case the fire blocks your first way out through a bedroom window. And it should be practiced.
And one thing we tell the children when we do the programs in the school is have a meeting place, the mailbox, someplace where everybody in the family can assemble, and the first responding fire units will look for that meeting place, and we'll say, is there anybody left inside? And then you don't go back in and get them. You don't go back in to save the cat or the dog. We'll do that.
Right. I remember drills and constant drills we had when I was going to school. They did the same thing. I never did that at home. My father was a fireman, as a matter of fact, and I guess we went on the presumption that wasn't going to happen to us. And just one question that I have, if you want to get into a little bit of details. Second story, if they're trapped upstairs and they want to exit from upstairs, how can they do it safely, a practice of that? Because in a fire, I know people would jump, people would hang and jump, and they'd risk breaking a leg to get out. What can they do to safely exit or prepare for it?
There are escape ladders available in home supply centers, Home Depot, for example. You can buy a metal folding escape ladder and keep it near the window. And again, if you have it, you should practice using it. You have to be somewhat agile in getting up and down that, or down that.
And obviously, if there's a roof, you can exit out of the window onto a roof, and we'll get you off the roof.
But for a better plan, for a more detailed plan, they can contact their fire departments.
Yes, we're willing to come and help them out in any way we can.
We can't give enough accolades to the fire departments. Unfortunately, it took a crisis like the fires out east to bring attention to the good services you guys do. This is an absolutely terrific program that you fellows are running. We're running out of time here, so if there's not really much more we can say about this. Just October 8th at 7 p.m., the fire departments will blow an alarm. We're to act as if there's a crisis in your home to exit.
Right.
Is that correct?
And don't forget to check your smoke detector when you change your clock.
Fellas, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
I'm Bob Riley, again filling in for Councilman Gene Gerard. This is the Brookhaven Experience. Thank you very much.